All right, welcome back to everyone who has seen this channel before or that has been subscribed. This is the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears. We are dedicated here at the channel and this with this particular company, the Maturity Project, um, to 8 different areas of maturity that are designed to help us create more of a fulfilling experience in life. So, um, one of the things that I want to address, and just get this out of the way, kind of like some housekeeping, if you will, where I'm speaking from is life's experience, what I did go through in college, and as well as I am I read often, prolific reader, if you will. So I'm kind of geared towards this. Uh, Seems to be kind of a knack that I have to understand certain things and to be able to give insights in such a way that get people that feel like they're painted into a corner out of it. So, understanding human beings in such a way. No, I'm not saying that I am your guru, nor am I trying to become your guru. Uh, this channel is in its growth, it's in its process. I'm learning as I go through this. It is a one sided conversation. So, for anybody that's watching this, just understand that there is a little bit of a challenge whenever there's a one sided conversation. There's no inflections to go by. There's very few things to actually get a read off of. So you just speak about whatever that seems to be relevant enough to make a difference, at least in your own mind. So things that you put out there. Uh, with today's conversation, I will be speaking about intelligence. That is the third area of maturity in the Maturity Project out of the 8. Uh, it's Intelligence is a really interesting and wonderful area. I used to refer to it solely as just cognitive, but it's cognitive slash intelligence. It's just there's some things to discuss whenever it comes to that. If this video for any reason comes across as being cringy or kind of hard to comprehend, or it feels like it is below your degree of advancement or your development, I just ask that you understand that there are other people that are this can help. And my goal is to try to do everything that I can to make as much of a difference as possible to inspire people to see their life as being something they can create. There will always be people that you appeal to, and there will be people that you don't appeal to. So uh, I just ask that you understand that. So if there's going to be negative comments, things like that, I get it. It happens. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I have realized that in my life, and I'll share one of those stories here in just a second as I kind of complete this portion. But it is not uncommon to look at somebody and then kind of make a lot of judgments off of that. So, all right. So I'll share the story with you to give you an idea about what it's like when you have specific challenges with somebody. So I took this course, and I've actually taken quite a few courses from this particular company back in 2009, and I was absolutely just infatuated with it. I was so excited about this course. It was developmental. It was it logical. Everything about it really was just something that seemed to synchronize well with me. So I was fired up over it. So I went to this course, and it was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then a half a day on Sunday. Uh, and I went to this thing, and there was one guy in particular. I was in a room of 120 people, 120 participants. I was sitting in the audience, and this one particular person would go up and talk. And every time he did, I was like, God, I really like this guy. He's charismatic. I just, like a teddy bear, I want to hug this guy. You know, um, I just, he was a teacher. Every time he talked, he really didn't use a lot of empty or vacuous words. He was very specific when he wanted to communicate. And I'm like, God, I just really like this guy. So every time he would speak, even if there were people like around me trying to talk to me, which it did happen, although they encouraged us to pay attention to who was speaking, I really tuned the people out around me because I wanted to hear what this guy had to say. He just had me. I liked him right away. Now, again, if you're curious, I'm heterosexual. It's not that I was interested in anything outside of the fact there was another human being sharing their story. And he had such a way to deliver his message. I really liked it. So every time he went up to talk, and he went up and he probably talked, I don't know, four times roughly over the course of the weekend, and maybe five. Uh, so I'm sitting there and I'm in the audience and I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy is great. I really like this dude. I want to talk to him. I want to meet him. You know, I mean, we're all dealing with what we're dealing with. We're all challenged by what we're challenged by, and I just like this guy. By the way, if you're curious, this was not Scientology. It has nothing to do with Scientology. By the way, if that's your path, by all means, you won't get me in there. Yeah, but if that's your path, that's your path. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna trash talk it. Life has a lot of ways to do it right, and then there's just a couple of ways to do it wrong. Oh, so anyway, I'm sitting there and this guy keeps talking and I'm just like, wow, this guy's just, he's funny. He's got a lot, man. He's intelligent and it's obvious. So it's Saturday and we're going to go to dinner. So it's towards the end of the day and we take our break and we're all going to like meet up, and there was no assigned groups when we went to this. It's just kind of like you meet up with whoever you want to meet up with, and you kind of, you do your thing, and you need to be back by the time the course starts again. So there's probably 8 of us, maybe 10, walking to the restaurant that's part of this hotel. And I see this guy as we get out of the elevator. We're in the parking lot itself, and I'm like, okay, all right, and there's that guy, and I'm like, I want to talk to this dude. So I'm like, all right, I'll make my way over to him. There's plenty of people to talk to, but that guy I wanted to talk to. So I went over to him, and I said, hey, I'm Chad. I was like, absolutely, dude. You just, and I kind of like picked up where I kind of felt the conversation was, even though we never spoke before, but because the way he would speak, it really was, he had a very familiar way of speaking. You know, so I'm like, just felt like we would synchronize easily. So talked a little bit, and he kind of felt detached or not really in the conversation, but not so much that it was alarming. It was just kind of like, whatever. People are people, and sometimes it's the first, you know, the actual introduction can be a little something different. So, anyway, we talk a little bit, and then we go to dinner, and I'm like, you know what? When we started talking in the conversation while we're walking, I really like, I'm thinking to myself, I want to sit next to this guy and continue the conversation. He's so incredibly charismatic. Now, at this time, so anyway, all right, let me finish this. We don't sit by each other at dinner, and I'm just like, whatever, and I'm off doing my thing and talking to everybody. I'm very outgoing, not quite like Vince Vaughn level. If you watch the movies he's in, he's always this very, vivacious, kind of like flamboyant, almost like guy that's just like, he's in your face. He's very, very, you know, character rich, but I do like to talk to people, and I like to engage people. I like to make people, whoever I'm speaking to, very focus centric, because why not honor the person that's willing to share a story with you or share information or a time and space with you. So we have our we do our dinner. He and I don't talk again. And I'm just thinking to myself, hey, I met the dude. It's cool. I had a pretty decent conversation, but there's a lot of other people, and a lot of other conversations I wanted to have. So we go into the last day. It's in the morning, and we do our first part of the section of this particular training, and then we take a break. People go out and get coffee, water, restroom break, or whatever. And he walks up to me. Now we're going to invite people in that night. There's all kinds of stuff that we're going to do, that we had a lot of things to think about. But we've also had the height, the high of the weekend that we have been through. And this guy's like, he comes up to me, and as he walks up, I'm smiling. I'm like, hey, it's that guy. I like him, And he walks over to me and he goes, Chad, I want to say something to you, but I ask that you let me say everything and don't interrupt me. And I'm like, all right, by all means, I want to say something to you too, And he's like, all right. So he goes, can I start? Like, absolutely, I'll be quiet. You tell me everything you want to tell me. And then he looks at me and he goes, I fucking hated you. He goes, everything about you. He goes, as soon as you walked up to me to talk to me, I was telling myself in the parking lot before we went to dinner that if this guy says a single word to me, I'm going to punch him in his fucking face. I'm going to punch him in his mouth. I hate him. And I'm like, oh. I say everything else. And he goes, I sat there over the weekend, and every time you went up to talk, I kept thinking to myself how much I didn't like you. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, then I realized my problem. He goes, my problem is this. You're everything I'm not. You're good looking, you're articulate, you're in great shape. You seem to be caring and you connect with people. You seem to be so fucking genuine. And he goes, I hated that about you. And it's like, damn. Because I'm on my side and I'm like, I've got nothing but admiration for this guy. And he's had nothing but like disdain for me, So I'm like, well, do you mind if I tell you now? Do you have anything else you want to say? And he's like, no, that's it. I'm like, so do you mind if I tell you how I feel? And he goes, yeah, go ahead, lay it on me. Go ahead. I was like, I've liked you from the first thing you've ever said. I was like, I just realized as soon as you shared with everybody, you're a good dude. You're genuine. You're honest. You articulate yourself well, and you're a hell of a nice guy, and you got stories that really are engaging. I was lost in the audience until you started speaking, and when you started speaking, I was incredibly connected to you. And I was like, it's interesting how that world works, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So with that, I just ask this. If you see these videos and you're not already subscribed and you're not following this, just get it. Look, I can't sit and complain about the nature of human beings. I will not sit idly by or contribute to the vice drive that our species is driven by, that seems to be gripping us right now. I'm not going to join in the complaint. I'm going to do what I can in a world that I'm not as developed in yet, but I'm developing, as you can see. I'm working on this. I'm not going to sit idly by and either let my silence be consent for people that want to tear people down, the whole troll mindset and that kind of stuff. Look, if you're in that, like, I'm going to forgive you eventually. But I will tell you this. I want solutions. I don't know much else to do right now. I see people are hurting. I see people are divided. I see that we seem to be pursuing destruction through a narcissistic desire to validate ourselves. And I won't be one of those people. I won't. I'm here to make a difference. So, if I'm not your flavor, if I have a look about me that pisses you off, or if I speak in a way that aggravates you, or if the production of this with my limited budget seems to agitate you, just know I'm trying. I am working on making a better future for all of us, so this does get me emotional because it is something that I work diligently on. Because we owe it to the future. I'm not going to look at you because of your race, your sexual preference, your occupation, your class, wherever you are in the class of income or any of that other shit. I'm not going to do it. I use the maturity project as a way of understanding people. 8 different areas of maturity. Everyone will have specific areas they're more developed in and areas that they're not as developed in. And it causes challenges in their life, and then their successes become a multiplier against their challenges typically because they have, oh, I'm really good at this, but I'm not very good at that, and I don't understand why. So either hide behind my strength or beat my weakness up with my strength. It's because we've lost our guidance in life. We become feral in society. We're wild in our growth. Sure, we're guided in certain places, right? You can go off to college and get a degree. You get mentorship. You can do a lot of things to develop yourself, but we don't seem to be well rounded anymore, and we don't even seem to even think it's an option. The 8 different areas of maturity round us out. It gives more of a fulfilling experience and makes you far more capable for everything that you go through. So, I do this, and I willingly put myself out there to get, to just take the ridicule from people or the love and admiration, which is, I don't really get as much of that as I don't really get a lot of anything really as far as feedback, things like that, other than just the people that I do know that pay attention to this. But we can create something great. You just have to understand the people that you see as a problem are not your enemy. There's actually very few people on this planet that are your enemy. We're just so disorganized, we can't get our shit together. And then because we're so miserable in our life, we take it out on other people. We don't have to do that. All right. I'm going to leave that subject where it is for now, and we're going to move into the intelligence aspect to the maturity. It's 8 different areas of maturity. The number 3 area in this, the third pillar of the 8 pillars of maturity, is intelligence or cognitive. So, what gives me the right to speak about that? Well, I have life experiences. I have my education that I've gone through and what I have learned through higher academia, as well as the books that I've read and the interactions individually that I've had with people and what they've willingly shared with me. My father gave me a bit of an advantage starting off over some people. I don't hold this over them. I don't make them wrong for not having a base level of knowledge or insights or inspiration. I don't do any of that because I love, oh, so many people. I don't care if that's cringy to you or not. You can take that cringy bullshit and take it over and make it into a cringy blanket and shiver through the night. I don't care. But if you would rather actually look at this and be like, hey, this is a genuine person trying to make a difference and to share love and to share acceptance and share encouragement for growth, then you can get that warm, fuzzy blanket and sleep comfortably through the night knowing other people give a damn that you're actually up to something too. So I know I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, but I recently had some feedback that just kind of tipped me in that direction. I felt like I needed to address it. So my father did start me off a little bit back on track here. To this day, my father is the most intelligent person I've ever known. He passed in 2006. He represents in the totem pole of life for me as inspiration and being unrefined intelligence. He was so incredibly smart. He applied himself. He was successful as a person, provider. He had some shortcomings in the family. I still have family members that hold it against him because they can't see past their experiences with him, and I don't fault them. They're just kind of locked in that space. It's a capsule of emotion that they're not willing to let go of. But he was the most intelligent person I've ever known. I admired his intelligence greatly, and I acknowledge that early on. So, of the family order, I was the second to youngest. I was the only blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy in the family. Nothing but boys. It was 6 boys. all of my brothers favored my mother. I'm the only one that favored my father as far as the looks go, and then the specific attributes, things like that. And I love my brothers. I'm not talking any kind of negatives about them. It's just they're genetically, they went that direction. They also associated more with my mother than they did with my father when it came to the psychology and the emotions and things. Um, so what really triggered my interest in intelligence beyond my father was when it became applicable to me. First grade, my younger brother Craig was in kindergarten. He's a year and 10 months younger than me. And we're standing down at the bus stop. And Craig says to me, as you know, kids do, they tease, they ridicule each other. It's just what brothers do typically to each other, siblings do to each other. And my brother says to me, Chad, you're stupid. And that moment stuck with me. I'm 45 now. I still remember it as if it was yesterday in this moment, because I can reclaim it because it was so detrimental. It was so impactful to me. I heard him say, Chad, you're stupid. And it just landed. God damn. So I said to myself, I'm going to show you I'm not. And I'm going to prove to Dad that I'm smart. I'm going to prove to the world that I'm not stupid. So that day when I went to school, first grade, I was, by the way, our birth dates, I'm in October, he's in August. The reason why he was in kindergarten and I was in first grade is because they made me wait an entire other year because I was an October baby and the school year starts in August. So that's why we had a 1 year difference, even though I was almost 2 years older than him, 1 year and 10 months. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to prove to everybody I'm not stupid. And I went to class that day and I paid different attention. I made my focus stay on the curriculum, what we were going over. And I started to get better reports to my parents, like the weekly and monthly reports, because I focused on this for a little while. And it really did make a difference, and my parents acknowledged it to a degree, but it wasn't anything necessarily significant. They're just like, oh, he's doing better. Because they didn't have a whole lot of time in school, right? And my parents were busy. I had a stay-at-home mother, but my father worked full-time, often overtime. So, but then it gave me something to justify when my brother would tell me I was stupid, because this is what brothers do to each other, or siblings do, is they find the thing that gets a response. And my brother got the response out of me because he brought up my intelligence, and I acknowledged and was inspired by and admired my father's intelligence. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to be smarter. So now, with that being said, that gives you an idea about the beginning for me. And I went through a lot of... It led me into, let me give you this, because it took me from just the moment of feeling smart by comparison because they was being qualified, and it led me into where my actual strengths are. Curiosity is a strength of mine. There are different areas of intelligences, and it depends on who you're actually, like, who's the guideline you're using, or what structure you're considering intelligence is based off of. But there is a theory that's Gardner's theory, and I'll give you these different areas so it gives you an idea about it. So he gives you 8 different areas of intelligences. Now, of those 8 areas, I'll just run through them real quick, just to categorize them. So, linguistic, logical mathematical, musical, interpersonal, naturalistic, spatial, and then body kinetics. So with that, there's a lot of derivations that fall into it, like problem solving, but then the problem solving goes into different areas. It's impressive to me overall because we're so dynamic that there's a lot of different areas of intelligence. My thing is this, is the reality for life and our need to adapt, because that's one of the most that is the most common denominator for us as a species, is our ability to adapt to the environment that we're in. That is a key to success that we have, that has made us such a successful species. We're adaptive. The statement is not a jack of all trades is the master of none. You leave it there with some sort of negative connotation towards the master of none, right? It's actually the jack of all trades is a master of adaptation. They master adaptation. That's the focus that they have. They focus on a lot of things, and they get really good at adapting. Now, when it comes to surviving, well, yeah, I mean, look at the eons that we've existed, and you would understand that adaptability is one of the most cherished traits that human beings have. Now, I'm not saying that that's something you should give me extra credit for, because that's not really the case. It's just more of I'm incredibly adaptive, and that's based off the fact that I'm so incredibly curious and I'm willing to pivot. I don't put myself above other people. It's not a thing that I do. I don't know. If anything, often what I do is I tell people, do not, I am not that intelligent. I'm not that smart. My thing is not that. My thing is curiosity. Because what I've witnessed with people is that they often, whenever they feel that I'm smart or somebody is smart, they typically will believe that that person is special, or they have some sort of genetic superiority or some sort of a genetic adaptation they don't have access to. It's not that. Oh, try to let that go. Some people do have genetic values that give them specific intelligences that put them above others in a way that they start, their starting point is it's different than yours, but that's okay, because you will, especially if you pursue that particular direction, knowing that there's 8 different areas based off of Gardner's model, that you can have advantages in other areas. It's just a matter of whenever the subject flows to that. Because our existence is dynamic. It's not singular. It's not this one thing. It's not, okay, your existence is all going to be mathematical, because it's not. Interpersonal is going to be incredibly important, because you do need to have interpersonal relationships. You need to be able to connect with other people to create fulfillment. There's a lot of things. Plus, you do need other people if you're going to procreate and push your genes into the future. So things like that, just keep in mind. Now, mind you, I'm not here to tell you the right way to do life. There's too many ways to do life the right way. There's just not as many ways to do it wrong. Because, hey, society has laws, right? You violate those laws, it does show you that there's something wrong. Keep that in mind as we move forward. So, nothing that it's necessarily like a foreshadowing or anything. It's just information to hold on to. Because we also have an idea or a desire to be righteous about something that we believe is right. And we often dismiss other people's experiences in life without even just hearing them out. I'm not saying, by the way, the hearing them out doesn't mean you change your position. Just hear people out. You will hear things that do contribute to a more fulfilling experience in life over time. Just hear people out. By the way, hearing them out does not mean that you concede to their view, and it does not mean that you grant them any special permissions or privileges. Just hear them out. You never know what you're going to understand after you're done hearing them out. So just do it. Okay? All right. So, I won't go into the childhood, that emotions. That's the one that I'll get tomorrow. All right. Curiosity. Okay. So, if anything, what I'd really like you to take away from this video is that, look, you can sit there and think that the only way to be successful is to be smart. That is not true. The only way to create anything meaningful in life outside of your own personal successes is that you have to be smart to do it. That is not true. We need you to find the success in your life. If you think about it, we can go with Star Trek back in the earlier days of Star Trek. We had a lot of interesting things that actually became real things, right? Like, there was that little piece of glass that was going to be the little, that basically it's a tablet, but it was before tablets, right? And then we had well, actually, we created something even more significant over this, but we had the beam me up, Scotty, and you had the little, and you could communicate with a mothership, and then they would just, move you up and whatever. Then we came up with cell phones. We are capable of creating some incredible things. When it comes to intelligence and success, I'm not out to knock Bubba Gump Shrimp Company, or Forrest Gump. The man is not, he has developmental impairment in some places, and he is incredibly successful. He created an amazing, and by the way, what a challenging industry. Gyms, fitness facilities, well, gym being a fitness facility, and restaurants have the highest attrition of all businesses. If you look at the vitals, or if you look at the statistics on companies whenever they create them by the IRS, gyms or fitness facilities and restaurants are not even, like, they had to combine them with other categories, but they tank the other categories because the attrition is so high. The reasons for that, I won't get into it right now, but just know that when it comes to creating a successful business, Bubba Gump Shrimp Company is incredibly successful in one of the most challenging industries to be successful in. And he just killed it. He nailed it. If you watch the movie, you read the story of Forrest Gump, things like that. Very incredible and impressive human being, but not the smartest person. But this is no way intending to insult him. You don't need to be smart to be successful. You don't need to be smart to have a fulfilling life. But if you can identify the areas of your intelligence and then leverage those things, you will come up with something significant. On my side, curiosity is a strength. I would rather hear you out and understand where you're coming from than interrupt you and to tell you what I think you should think. Unfortunately, that's common conversation or communication for a lot of people. Telling other people what they should think. Excuse me. So, intelligence, cognitive intelligence. Kind of redundant. No, that's redundant. Anyway, yeah. There's a lot of categories, and there's a lot of different areas of intelligences. Access yours. We need you to. It will move our species forward. Fashion is a thing. And if you look at fashion in the greater scheme of things, it doesn't do much for our species. It might influence our procreation to a degree, artistic expression to a degree, but it's not. If you really had to start cutting things out of what gets resources, attention, or energy in our society because of hard times, they would be on the early end of the chopping block. It's not downing them for anything. It's just that they are a privilege of having a successful culture and a successful society. Without them, that's not the biggest driver. The other things get more of a precedence. Resources are scarce. You don't have the money or the other resources for exchange. You're likely not going to be able to pay for admission into an art studio. And again, I'm not downing that. It's just, it has a position for us. Just keep developing yourself. Own what your areas are and stay open to. Stay open to growing. Sorry, I'm yawning a lot right now, and I apologize for that. But just stay open to it. Why not? What else do we got to do? All right, that's it for today. Now I've got more stories to come along, but I will share those over time. This video and this series is right now just taking out a lot of the look good and putting in the reality of who I am, so that hopefully I'll inspire other people to be more genuine, sincere, and authentic. I still have some opening up to do because it's a concerning area to just expose yourself to the reality of who you are to people that don't know you. They could just check in on a video and then upvote or downvote and leave comments and things about you without actually knowing anything about you. So uh, it's not like a major degree of courage, but it still takes something to push past when there's the unknown and then the potential of people ridiculing you. But look, it's going to happen either way. People are going to ridicule you either way. You have to live your life. At the end of your life, you're not going to lay in that hospital bed or wherever you're at and think about the person that said something that slowed you down or took the wind out of your sails. It's not likely going to be there, other than the regret that you let them do it. We're not up for that. I'm out to make a difference. I hope that you join me in that. I'm encouraging you to. There's 8 areas of maturity. This is the 3rd area. Of those 8 areas, I'll give them to you quickly. Physical body is 1. Community is 2. Intelligence or cognitive is 3. Emotions is 4, which will be the next episode. 5 is finance. 6 is business. 7 is sexuality. And 8 is spirituality or purpose. There's 8 areas of maturity. I'll go over them. Emotion's going to be a fun one because that's probably going to be a pretty long episode. Just to give you a base level on the humble beginnings of Chad. No. Anyway, all right. Well, I won't hit you with any bad or horrible impersonations or anything else. That's it for today. This is the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears. Share this video with the person in your life you want to make a meaningful conversation with, something sincere, something authentic, a purpose-driven conversation. Don't forget to like the video. Help me with the algorithm, please. If you did get something out of today, smash the like button, please. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I really do want to grow this community. It's our contribution with each other sets a trend that will make a difference for our species. It's not about necessarily just voting in politics. It's about our dedication for each other's growth and support in that process. Because as each person in this education grows, we all grow. The more you share your growth, the more we all grow. So please comment in the comment section. Let's take this thing to another level. I am not the arbiter of truth in this. I don't have the top end of maturity in all 8 areas. I have what I have. I just have the gift of insight about these areas and then the dedication to growing and developing myself in every area. And I'm sharing that in the process. So join in with that if you will. Again, subscribe to the channel. Comment in the comment section. I want to hear from you. If you're interested in getting in touch with me directly, you can get with me through my email, which is yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. That's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. You can send me an email telling me about what your experience has been, what you'd like to get out of things, whatever. Just start the correspondence and we'll see where it goes from there. If you're interested in any kind of coaching as well, use that email, send it over to me, and we can start discussing our coaching options there as well. All right, till next time, just recall, and I'm sure you've heard this, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. We don't need to take this there. We can redirect and start laying the bricks that'll take us on the roadway to a utopia. But we'll do this together. And we're not doing it for anybody other than for ourselves and to inspire other people to do it for themselves. No enabling in this. All right? All right, till next time. Again, Chad Everett Broshears is the Maturity Project. Let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together, shall we? All right, let's get to it. See ya.